Hello, people. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you may be watching us. This is Jesse from UK, and we're going to be discussing a few things about the ongoing African Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco. Okay, we now know who the finalists are. So it's going to be the Teranga Lions of Senegal who are going to be playing with the Lions of Morocco. So it is going to be one to savor, especially when there's no pressure and your team is out and you have nothing to lose. You just want to watch a fantastic game of football. And you know, in starting this off, we need to kind of like evaluate, how Morocco has prepared for this. Um, we have people on the ground, as you saw. My colleagues were in Morocco. They returned just a few days ago, and we still have a colleague on the ground that is giving us everything. So if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and it's been uploading stuff every day. So that is where we channeled all of our majority of our reporting on the ground. That is on YouTube. So please go there and you will see. I'll show you at the end of the day some of the. In fact, it is the Eric Chell interview on his future is right there. You can watch it. So to start off, excuse me again. If you're joining me, you know what to do. Leave your comments. I'll be able to pick it up from the studio, and then we can discuss it. Always, we want to get your views. We just want to be together, to talk about these things, and then I'll welcome your views at any time. I will stop what I'm doing to check it out, and then we can discuss it. Okay, that out of the way. We must give kudos to Morocco for staging a fantastic tournament. I mean, infrastructurally, in terms of infrastructure, the stadiums, the fan zones, um, the buses, the training areas, the way how everything has been organized has been like, we wouldn't, lie to you guys. It's been an international standard, and that is they've taken advantage of certain uh, conveniences of being in close proximity to Spain. Like for instance, all of those coaches that brings the players back and forth. Those players, those coaches have been leased, from a Spanish, company. So yeah, so they've done everything well. So in terms of the organization itself, the hotels, the training grounds, the referees, the match officials, the preparation in the stadium, everything has been up to scratch. And yeah, you can say some of the attendance in the crowds is not as good as when Morocco is playing. There are certain, games that lacked, the viewership, spectators are not there. But that happens everywhere. Yeah. So I can remember in USA 94, there are some of those games that are quite packed, and then there are some of those games that are not, packed. So that is the way it is because we're facing globally what is called the cost of living crisis. So not everyone is able to purchase, um, tickets, to the events. So, but overall, Morocco has done fantastically well, and they have represented Africa really, really well. So, a kudos, to Morocco. So let us cheer for them. So that's a good one. Anyway, straight up. the quality of games that we've had at this AFCON has also been fantastic. African football has come of age. Quite a lot of the countries who come to play at the AFCON have players coming from all over the world, from European leagues, from the Brazilian leagues, even from North American leagues and from African leagues, is the best of the best of the best. If you followed us on Facebook, Sunderland FC actually had 8 members of their squad not available for selection because they were playing in AFCON. And quite a lot of these guys they were not even born in Africa. They are of African heritage. So this quality of talent of players is so massive that even the um, English Premier League, that is one of the best league in the world, was lamenting that a lot of the talents were going to AFCON. And unfortunately, as we've also treated, we see now that the CAF calendar is being harmonized with the global calendar. And for me, that is wrong on many fronts. But that is not the issue for discussion today. I will come back to the issue of the sacrilege of making AFCON every 4 years. I don't think that is right. So, but it's not what we want to discuss today. We will come back. That is a separate episode on its own. So yeah, we've seen how the teams, and then we've also seen some fantastic um, happenstances, cultural development that has taken place at AFCON. So if you watch DRC Congo matches, you will see a guy called Imboladinga who mimics the posture of Patrice Lumumba, a political figure in his homeland of Cote d'Ivoire, I mean, of Congo Democratic Republic. Now, for him to just come, just one man, stand up straight for 90 minutes that the game plays, remaining in that posture, it seems innocuous, but it carries a lot of power. So across the whole world, it's been able to bring the attention of the world to the plight of Patrice Lumumba and the plight of Congo Democratic Republic. So everybody's been discussing it across the world. So thanks to the platform that AFCON offers and the colorful support, that Congo Democratic Republic brought to that event, it is one of the most outstanding thing that came out of AFCON. And of course, we had the Algerians who were not really respecting that, but they came around and they started to understand how important that figure is to African politics and to African institutions, especially in Congo Democratic Republic. So taking all of this out of the way, like I said, we're just doing a review of the whole tournament. Then the Nigerian team under Eric Chell, nobody gave them, the chance to come because they failed to qualify for the World Cup. The defense was leaky, and nobody gave them a chance. But here we are. They got to the tournament, and they were progressing. Winning, leaking some goals, and when they got um, to the knockout stages, it was 4-0 against Mozambique, and they followed up by demolishing, the Algerian team 2-0. It could have been more than that. It was a command performance, actually. And for once, I was like, whoa, this is really good. And it came to the semifinals. And that, guys, is what I want us to dissect, today. But before I get into it, let me see what. Uh, okay, Gislen said, nice to see you again, sir. I love your shirt. Thank you so much. is a German replica, shirt. Um, yeah, thank you. So yeah, and um, and it is one of the things that happened in also from the branding perspective. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So this is a very old, let's say, old school German shirt that was worn in the 74, 75, in the 70s. And then there's this, you know, there's the company that produces it. That's Classics, the football. So they produce replica shirts from the old time that people can wear. And we saw the same thing happen with Nike. So Nike borrowed this idea and they produced replica shirts from 1996 Olympic, winning, tournament. You can see the Eagles wearing that, and it was fantastic. In fact, I think I need to get my hands on one because those retro shirts, they are really good. I love wearing retro stuff. Back in the days, where you reminisce about the days of glory, and bring things back. Okay, let's again see. Kenny says Eric Chet has built a very strong competitive team for Nigeria. I do agree with you 100%. And um, he's a workaholic because all of the news reports that we monitored and my colleagues that are on the field, in Morocco, that is Kenny and Wale, they can all testify to the fact that Eric Chell is a workaholic. He's a workaholic. He is putting the team through their pace and he knows what to do. But like we did a review, remember, we always do everything on most spots. We did a review of his 1 year, tenure in managing the Eagles. And he's done really well. I think as of that time, we played about 16 games. He won 10 of those games outright, and he played 5 draws and lost one. Lost one. Yeah. So that is pass mark. But let's now, these high flying Eagles, what really happened to the Eagles? Why did the Eagles fold? Of course, we knew that that match was going to be really, really tough. And if you go back and watch my broadcast, last, I think it was a day before the match itself. And I was saying that this match will be really tough. It's going to be decided by a single goal, and that Nigeria should actively prepare to play the penalties. The spot kicks was where it was going to be. And I think that we missed a trick there. But it should not have gone to penalties. So we could say two things happened. One, we had the misfortune of missing the captain, Wilfred Indidi. If you look in the Moroccan team, that team is full of experience. That team is full of some of the players that went to the semifinals of FIFA World Cup in that team. That team played their qualifiers together. There was no change of coach. There's no coaching change. And they played the Arab Cup. So that is a team that has played in a lot of tournaments. So let's give, let's give them their flowers. That is a tough team to beat. But where it slightly differ is the fact that in this particular tournament, they have not been outstanding. They've not played the best games, of their lives like they played before. They've not been fluent. So if you saw their game against, is it Burkina Faso? And then another one against the other team, I can't remember right now. You find out that there was talk about bad officiating. that, you know, gifted them some of the wins that they had. So what I'm saying here is that the team is not unbeatable, but let us see where things go wrong. And I want to say that I will come to the issue of the refereeing, because you could say there's refereeing issue and you can say there's no refereeing issue, but I will get to that, you know, very very soon. But let us see what each coach has said about the match itself. So when we see, let us see what Eric Chell has said about the game. What did he say post match? Is this is from More Sports, you know, Facebook site. It says our technicality was not like the same from the last match. I don't want to say we were tired, but that's not the level. We put Chukwueze on the penalties because the guys who kicked the penalties were the best in training. So before I even come here, you see one of the commenters here says that's Audu Onjefu Emmanuel. He said, forget about technicality. The pattern and approach used for the game wasn't the best. You allowed them to take over the middle. Since they took over the midfield, you should have used good wingers, you know. So all that, and let us see what the other coach has got to say. So uh, the other coach, this is what he's got to say. Yeah. So this is from MPFL updates. And this is what that coach has got to say. We sought their playmaker, Iwobi, and we took him out tactically while it reveals how they stopped Nigeria. He said, tactically, we cannot divulge everything, probably because he still has the final to play. And he has it to play against a West African team as well. Uh, the idea was to block their playmaker Iwobi, and he was trying to look for true passes to Oshimen and Lukman. It was a bit complicated because it required a lot of energy. We had to increase our intensity, track back consistently, recover loose balls from the poor passes, and then transition quickly to attack. So when you look at what both of these guys have said, immediately you understand that um, Eric Chell lost out technically to Walid of Morocco. Because if you look at the team that played Algeria, it was a master class of a match. Because you had Onyeka, Ndidi, double pivot in the midfield. And you had these wingers as well as, you know, the wingers to stretch their backline. And then you had Iwobi, who played the best tournament ever for Nigeria. He was playing out of his skin, you know, he wanted to win, you know, the Afghan. And all of our the best, you know, players spraying the passes. You know, I even came up with the term that he was spraying the passes like a Lagos billionaire at a party. And that's what I meant. You know, he was spraying those passes, finding that killer pass. So at any point in time, the back four that's defending against Nigeria, they don't know who to mark. Because if you saw the first goal that Oshimen scored against Algeria, we have had, you know, opportunities after opportunities to play to get a goal. Iwobi was not successful at that point, but there was a cross that came in. And Osimhen bang and say thank you very much. And that was the first goal. So if you look at that, and the second goal came through a killer pass that it will be, sent into the middle to Osimhen, and Osimhen had to square it off to Akko Williams. So this is what I'm saying. I think Eric Chell missed some trick in this game. He knew that he didn't have Ndidi, and he sat back to defend. Of course, you could say that some of the players in the Eagles on the Eagles team were playing for the first time against the host country, 90,000 spectators. They were crying like banshees, the vuvuzela noise all over the place. They were quite intimidated. So in the opening rounds, for the first 30 minutes, they were on their back foot. If you get to be on the back foot at that point in time, you're not going to win. Because if you look at the teams that win, that have the mentality to win, you are going to take the Cameroonian team that played Nigeria in the finals in year 2000. They were playing in Surulere, the spiritual home of the Super Eagles, and they went toe to toe from the beginning of the match. You don't see any position for the opposition. No, they didn't care that they were playing in Surulere, in Lagos, Nigeria. They just want to win, and they went toe to toe with the Eagles, and they got their 2 goals. If it had not been for JJ Okocha, who brought us back into the game, it would have been game over from from the 60th minute, game over. So that was what we missed in this game. I think Eric Chell was out tough by the Moroccan coach. That is what happened. So Eric Chell is it's done really well, and he's admitted it, because if you watch the um it's interview, and it says that if he is given the chance, because he doesn't know, what we're hearing is not concrete yet, and we can't confirm it yet, that the Tunisians might be looking to hire him, but I don't see that happening, because the Tunisians at this moment, they will likely go for a European coach. That's what I see, because even if you look at the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns, who went down to Al Ahly to coach them, it wasn't without some frictions. We must say the obvious truth is that there's still a bit of racism going on in Arab Africa, and them accepting to work with black coaches, African coaches, is still a problem. But if you look at us in West Africa, Eric Chelle is Malian born and is coaching in Nigeria. We've had Nigerian coaches coached, the Malian team as well. So, we don't have problems, with these things. So that is where I think it is. So I thought that we lost the match to the fact that a lot of our players were intimidated by the spectators, the atmosphere, and the whole setting of playing an home team. And secondly, the technical input of Eric Chell was lacking on this day. If you look, the work rate that we had against the Algerians, they couldn't live with it. We were just, it's waves after waves after waves after waves of attack, and it was quick transition. So if you kept yourself to defending, I thought Eric Chell said he was going to defend, he's going to allow them to have the ball. No, you don't do that. If you allow them to dictate the tempo from the beginning with the support that they have, 90,000 people going all out, there's no way you will be able to come back. So that's that. So that I don't bore you with that. So now we've established that the Super Eagles lost that match on the basis of technical unpreparedness, or a better technical skills from the Moroccans. And when it came to the penalties, please, 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 I see a lot of people online that are denigrating and blaming, you know, um, Chuku, Chuk, please remind me about his name. Chukwemeka, yeah, Chukwemeka. That is wrong. The fact that he was chewing a gum while he was about to play hasn't got anything to do with the poor penalty he took. You see, we all react to pressure in different ways. He was under pressure. So that was his way of feeling himself back into control. That was his way of taking control. You could say that they did not practice. I did not believe, Eric Chell, that the best penalty takers are the ones we had. When Liverpool played uh, Victor Osimhen's team, Galatasaray, in the Champions League, and they got a penalty, nobody was allowed to take it. It was Osimhen who took that penalty and scored it. So I don't see what kind of pressure that Osimhen is going to be under, that he's not able, to take a penalty for Nigeria. So let's take a media break, and then we'll come back after that. So welcome back. So I don't think Chukwueze is to blame. Chukwueze is not the reason. It was a poorly taken penalty, but let's understand that we did not do what we need to do. We did not go for it, and that for me is a major issue. So that said, the next thing that came out was officiating. Okay. Officiating, I think we can say that the CAF president has said that there was a case of bad officiating, right? So I think I have it somewhere in there where he said that there are some officiating issues in the game, in the tournament, so, and that they will address it. So that for me is good enough, that this guy is coming out to say that this is the issue that they've got. So I think, sorry, I am just looking for that, if I can show you, because for whatever reason I didn't. Aha, yeah, I think I've seen it. So let us listen to the CAF president. Yeah, I think that. So I'll play it for you.
Of course, I had a meeting with all of the referees and with all of.
Let's start.
That's a very important point, and what is important is what the ordinary football supporter and the spectator thinks. So, of course, I had a meeting with all of the referees and with all of the VR operators and the match commissioners before the competition started, and I said to them, we have to officiate you. We are proud of you. You've got to officiate every match at the highest level. with the highest degree of integrity, impartiality, independence, and also there's a recognition amongst all of us that what the ordinary supporter thinks about football is critically important, and we've got to respect that. I heard some of the supporters saying, "Yes, but was that not a penalty? Was that not a red card? Was that not a goal or whatever the observations are?" We are intently attentive to that. That's a very important point.
Okay. So, welcome back. I think you can hear what Bosepe is saying. So let me go back into and see who's talking to us. So I think it's Kenny. Kenny says Chukwueze was uncontrollably crying after the match. That's enough for Nigerians to know how bad he felt for missing the penalty kick. Penalty is a game of lottery. Roberto Baggio, Maradona, Zico, Platini, and many great players have missed the kicks in the past. No footballer is yet to master the art of penalty kicks 100%. I mean, I agree with you. And I think that this is the reason why we try to be objective at most sports, look at the whole thing. So people react to pressure in different ways. If you're talking to some people, they will just be fidgety. And they're not afraid, but that's their way of coping. They're coping mechanisms. So him chewing that gum was a coping mechanism for him. That is what works for him. So he missed the penalty. I mean, look, if you're playing in a stadium, 90,000 spectators, vociferous, and they're cheering their home team, there's nothing that cannot do to your spirit. And that is why the technical way to play is to play without fear. Go on the offensive. Because when you sit back and invite pressure on yourself, there's no way you're not going to feel jittery. And to be honest with you, if Bassi was not in the form of his life, they would have scored 3 goals. So, guys, Chukwueze is not to blame. We're not going to blame him. And then let's talk about the referee as well. So I will say the referee, on the face of it, did an average job. You cannot say he's biased, this or that, but we'll come to what Motsepe is saying that makes it look as if is not, he did a bad job. So let us even look at his CV to see what type of referee he is. So this is from Blessed Antwi, and Daniel Laya is the guy who did the officiating, for us. So he started refereeing at age 17 in Ghana's lower divisions, Ghana Premier League since 2012, handling top domestic matches. So officiated the Ghanaian FA Cup final out of Oak vs Ashanti Gold. He refereed at the 2017 CAF on the 17 Nations Cup of Nations, 2018 WAFU Cup of Nations, refereed multiple African Nations Champion, the Chan tournament, 2018 and 2020, and he was selected for 21 African Cup of Nations. He served as assistant video referees for VAR in 2022 Women's Champions League final. So, I mean, this guy has had experience at the global stage as well. He was VAR for rescheduled 2022 Chan in Algeria. Selected as one of the referees for 2023 FIFA Under-17 World Cup. He's ranked among the top 20 professional referees in Africa by CAF 2020. So you can see on and on and on. He's been the FIFA listed referee since 2014. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from the University of Ghana Business School, as well as a degree in physical education from a University of Education, Winneba. So, I mean, this guy is really, really clued up. He knows what he's doing. But let's start from this point. He's not to blame for the fact that he had to referee a match that involves another West African team. We thought by now that CAF will be in a position to say when there is a match between top North African team and top West African team, you need to source your referees from Southern Africa or East Africa. That way you can eliminate some kind of bias in the system. And secondly, again, as I'm speaking to you, the referee that has been selected to officiate between the third place match between Egypt and Nigeria is a Moroccan called Jalal Jahid, assistant referee Zakaria Brinsi, assistant referee 2 Akakat Mustafa, assistant referee 3 Asani Khalil. I mean, these are all Moroccans. He's the fourth official that is Botswana or Kenyan. VAR, Moroccan. So this is unfair. The Super Eagles are playing another Arab countries, and you're getting an Arab referee to do the honors. We're not saying they're going to make the match really bad, but for accounting purposes, you need to make sure that referees that needs to referee this sort of team is coming from East, Central, or South Africa. Not that a Northern African team is playing and the referee is Northern Africa as well, especially when you know they are both Muslims and they are both Arabs. So these are the things that CAF, need to have a look at. So, but where you could say the referee went wrong was in his officiating. He might have been intimidated by the crowd. Because there are ways to influence the match. The obvious ones, I would say he was 100% right. There was a ball to hand. If he was biased, he would have called it a penalty in favor of Morocco. It didn't do that. But every time that the Eagles went 50-50 in a match, he blew in their favor, slowed down attacks, and all of this. And that exactly is where the problem is. And this is not just me. Let's see what others are saying about this incident. Let's see what a Ghanaian actually rated another Ghanaian referee. Let's see it here.
Uh, well, uh, well, I'm happy that we have a Ghanaian referee on the field, but some of the infringement, I have a problem with it. At first half, you see the record that he gave to the Nigerian player. In fact, that shouldn't be a yellow card. That shouldn't be a card. So, well, for me, if I have to rate him, I'll give him 4/10. To be frank with you, I'm having a problem with some of the decisions that he is taking on the field.
So that was an interview right there in Ghana, not even in Nigeria, by a Ghanaian. If you saw the yellow card that was given to Bassi, that was what he was referring to. So this is what we're saying, that there are many ways to be corrupt and there are many ways to be incompetent. So when you're not allowing the game to flow, or you are using the officiating to buy some kind of advantage for someone, that is a problem. And if you remember, one of the things that we were happy about at the last AFCON was the quality of officiating. In fact, the press in England, they were boasting and saying, look, the VAR and the officiating in African football at AFCON was way fantastic and professional than what you get in the Premier League. But it came to this one, and we've had complaints after complaints after complaints. And we have Motsepe actually saying that is true, that they have not officiated at the highest level that is expected of them. So again, let's look at what happened, with some of the uh, behavior of the host nation. We cannot overlook, this. The host nation has been excellent in organizing the games with infrastructure, with everything. But when it comes to influencing the game itself, they have done things that are not permitted anywhere else. Let us watch this, please.
AFCON semi-final between Nigeria and Morocco. Nigeria's goalkeeper had a towel which he uses to keep his clothes dry during the game. But immediately he placed the towel down outside of the pitch. Someone came in to take the towel away. Someone not involved in the match. He went for another towel to keep his clothes dry again, placed it down outside of the pitch, and another person came to take the towel away once again. Goalkeepers have always been allowed to have towels to sort of keep their clothes dry. Once the towel is not on the pitch, it doesn't have any problem with the football on the pitch itself. And they are always allowed to keep that. So the area also around the pitch is like one of the most highly regulated areas, especially for a high-profile game like the AFCON semis. Like apart from the players and officials of the two teams, very few people are allowed to have access to the area on the pitch. So for people to be really, who have been really vetted, highly vetted, and giving access to this area, to now be involving themselves in the game history, because you can see clearly the moments they take the towel on the pitch, it distracts the goalkeeper, and to an extent, they are sort of having a play or a say or involving themselves in the game. For me, I feel this was very, very unsportsmanship-like, and I'm really concerned that something like this has happened at a high-profile level like the AFCON, and I feel this shouldn't have happened in the first place. In the AFCON semi-final between Nigeria and Morocco.
So you can see that. Can you imagine that we have the fourth official? See, for every match that you officiate, I can tell you what, more sports was on the ground in Morocco. And unlike some other AFCONs that we've been to, because we were in Cote d'Ivoire too, you could not even get to the hotel lobby of the Super Eagles. I'm telling you right now, first-hand knowledge, that some of the Nigerian Football Federation officials could not gain access to the hotel lobby of the players. They were only allowed in at certain times that they are having interviews and they're out. This is an accredited event. In fact, among the more sports crew that was on ground, we only had one person accredited to go right in. Only one person. It was that closely monitored. And apart from that, the match officials that you're going to have the referee, you're going to have assistant referees, 3 of them making 4. You're going to have the fourth official making 5, VAR 6, and 2 VAR assistants, making 8, and then you have the referee assessor making 9, and then you have some other officials, 9 of them, and people who are invading the pitch to take it. I mean, this is a penalty, and like I said, we have little fetishes, that we do to get ourselves going. Some of us, if we feel that the day is not going to be good, we might just say, "Oh, I'm going to wear a shirt that is white color. It makes my day better," and then you feel that confidence to perform. It's the same thing with goalkeeping, right? So, how can you allow officials of the Moroccan Football Federation to go onto the pitch to take away the towels. That is to make sure that your hands is not affected by sweat. So you can get a grip on the football. And they were distracting, So, like I said, all of these unsportsmanly, practices can come in one way or another. Yeah, it doesn't have to be brazen. That's what I'm saying here. It's surreptitious. So, yeah, may the best team win and in the finals. But for me, what ought to have been a celebration of skill, talent, football has now, dovetailed into something that we have politics, and winning by all means necessary into it. Of course, we know it's been a 50-year wait. For 50 years, Morocco has not won another um another AFCON title. We know that. So, but you don't win by hook or crook. That's exactly what we're saying here. So, good luck to whoever wins at the finals. But um, as we say here, losing to Morocco was not down to a particular one thing. It was a combination of things, and we take our learnings. I think it's down to Eric Cho that did not prepare for penalties, and that ditched his winning approach against Algeria. If you played the same way you played against Algeria, against Morocco, you will win the game because those boys were not tired. They were not tired. And if some of them were tired, you have capable men on the bench, to do the trick. A lot of these guys are ready to go. And like I said, I like Eric Cho. I hope the NFF um, retain him. And I do hope that he doesn't go to Tunisia. If they tempt him with 100,000 a month, he's going to take it. Right. And that for me is where this is at. And then, like I said, if you've not been onto our YouTube channel, you need to go there. You can see Eric Chelier talking about his future.
J'ai essayé d'amener cette équipe au plus haut dans ce tournoi, avec le 4-4 de Losange que tu connais très bien, que tu as aussi.
So, it's going to, how do you say it? It will speak. It will answer some journalists in French, and then it will switch to English language in another one, so you can watch everything in there. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for, sharing your views. Yeah, we're gonna do some late events like this, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday when the final, plays, and we're gonna have a post-mortem of the whole tournament. We've been having some of it, and I think it's a brilliant tournament. It's a brilliant tournament, and it's brilliant football. The football that have been played there is top notch. All of these teams, they now have modern ways, modern tactics, modern nutritional, additions, and they have modern training scripts, that they use. So, and we have players from everywhere in the world, and they all want to win. And the DRC Congo team, honestly, that team is the most improved, team in the whole tournament. So it's been a celebration of African, culture, and the infrastructure has been fantastic, albeit the level of officiating has gone down. It's created a lot of ruckus because we're supposed to be talking about the brilliance of the game and the players, and now we're talking about referees. And Motsepe is the CAF chairman is also saying this is really, really bad. I mean, it's not bad, but it's a source for concern. So we have that going on, and we do hope that the finals is not going to be marred by all of these pitch invasions, by officials, and how would I say it? Sort of support of the home, team, the host team, against the other teams that are playing. Let the football speak on the pitch. We want to see Morocco play fantastically and win. We want to see Senegal play fantastically and win. Not all of these underhand, ways, slimy ways of getting to win the game. That is not in the spirit of football or sports or what we want to see with AFCON. But overall, I think Morocco has 8/10 for me for what they've done. So that's where we're going to be tonight. We're going to say bye-bye to you guys and then enjoy the rest of your weekend. And then let's hope the best, team wins on Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe, share our videos with your friends and family, and then go to our YouTube page. Leave a comment for us. Encourage us to keep doing what we're doing. And then we'll see you at the other end. Bye.